Just a Job is the podcast for the modern woman to redefine what success looks like. We highlight real women and their real stories.
Hi, everyone. Happy 2025. Welcome back to Just a Job. It feels like it's been forever since Ellen and I recorded, and we have some exciting updates plus a fun episode. I would say like half planned for you, which is typically how we roll with things. But first, I want to point out I have a mic flag. Ellen's is en route to San Diego. But guys, if you're watching this on video, look how cute. I hope it's not backwards. Ellen and I spent hours designing this. Not really, it was like 5 minutes, but still, how precious is it? Before we jump into the episode, Ellen, how are you doing? What have you been up to? Tell the listeners what life has been like.
You know, taking some time out of office has been so nice. I think we need to make this an annual thing. One, I can't stop staring at the little mic flag. It is so cute and so official. I can't wait to be matchy matchy.
I feel like a reporter.
Let's see. During the month of December, I feel like kind of time off, but also so busy at the same time. I guess such is life, right? But
Mhm.
it was nice to just take a little backseat podcast stuff to take a little bit of a backseat. And I started my new job, which
Oh
is
yeah.
really cool. I'm 3 weeks in now. 3, 4 weeks in, something like that. I'm so happy that I made the change. It feels really good. I feel like I have made the right choice for myself, which is always scary when you're making a career transition in
Mhm.
any way, shape, or form. I feel like I finally have job security in that this is full time. I can see myself being here for the foreseeable future. And while it's going to be interesting navigating just new team, new company, new dynamics. I'm really excited about doing that. So I feel like I've made a really good choice, which is incredible. So,
Mhm.
really good way to start the year with just, I kind of get to come in and I get to decide, how it's going to be and how I get to show up and make a career for myself. So,
Yeah,
there's
it's
a lot of
huge.
yeah, there's a lot of opportunity coming. So I'm really excited about that. Just had some really nice family time. Um, we came back from Germany, which was so much fun.
Mhm.
Just some travel. It was really nice. December, and I kind of have a low key January coming up, which I'm also looking forward to. So I think overall it was just nice. That's going to be my summary of December. So, speaking of career updates, I feel like it's like every other month. We're like, oh, hey, someone left their job, someone started a new job. Talk about your career updates, Miss Sarah.
Ooh, okay. Well, I feel like I don't know if you felt like this, but December felt like 2 months instead of
It
one.
did. It felt
It
very long.
was, yeah, because I'm thinking through it feels like it's been a while since you started your job,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't know. This has been like a funky month for sure.
Mhm.
Um, Updates from me: re-signed with LTK, so I will be with the company through, as of right now, end of June. So feeling really good about that. It was interesting to navigate this period because there were other opportunities that kind of came up, but feeling certain. I think one of the things that I'm realizing going into the year is not everything has to be chaotic. Like, you can choose uh certainty, and I think that that's what I needed, because I don't know, 2025 is weird. I'm heading into my 30th year, and I just, in conversations, really realized how much I needed to have that security. And
Mhm.
there's other things going on in my life that are a bit out of control, so it's like, this is the one thing I can control. I'm going to choose that. And I'm really excited because the company itself, it has a cyclical nature to it, and so now I'm getting to see the winter spring part of it, where, because I was there in the fall, I was seeing the fall slash winter. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see. There's a lot of events that we're planning, which is a lot of fun. But other than that, just, yeah, a lot of family time. We were traveling. If you're on video, you can see this giant pile behind me, and Michael and I, nothing brings me more satisfaction than physically clearing space. And so it was really nice to just go through and find junk that was just sitting around that I was just like, this gives me no purpose. I like Marie Kondoed my life partially. Or as I found out after spending time with my family, my grandma used to call it, what did she used to call it? Move or die. Because she would say, if I was moving, is this something I would take with me? If I was dying, is this something I would want somebody to have the burden of? And so it is a bit brash, but
That's a cutthroat approach, but I kind of like
I
it.
know Marie Kondo's like, touch it. Does it give you joy? My grandma's like, do I want this when I die? You know, like whatever. Teach their own. But yeah, that's what we've been up to. We're excited to kick the year off. We have a lot of really great episodes and guests that we have spoken with and will continue to speak with. And so, as always, if there's anyone in your life that's really inspiring to you, or if you're kind of just nosy and want to know their story, like please send them our way because we would be happy to interview them. But today we thought it would be fun to do an ins and outs of 2025 kind of like career edition. But in our search, Ellen found some fun, like if you just career or if you just search ins and outs of 2025, we found some that made us giggle. So Ellen, will you please do us the honors of sharing your inspirational findings?
100%. As always, like as we're preparing for episodes, just like in general, we'll either like find articles or we'll like have a brainstorming session about things. And during this particular brainstorming session, I was like, oh, let me, like Google something, see if it'll spark an idea or two. So let me also just set the scene of what exactly I Googled. Ins and outs 2025 professional. So how's that for like a gorgeous string of words? And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of string of words, this article is the most random thing. I was scrolling through and just cracking up because I'm like, it seems like someone just threw a bunch of words on this page to be like, this is cool. So, for example, in everyone, out, average.
Mm.
I just,
So
what does that
inclusive
mean?
and exclusive at the same time.
Oh, some others. In connector, out insulator. Like it's just a bunch of like woo woo buzzwords. And I
Yeah.
love a good woo woo moment, but this is like a little too far
A
fetched
little,
for
yeah.
me?
Yeah. Well, thanks for setting the stage. That was funny.
In co-creation, out meetings. Like, okay, they're gonna rebrand the name meetings. Genius. This
I'm
is
gonna
some
I'm gonna make
moving stuff.
I'm gonna make 2025 the year of just calling things the way that I want to call them and then
Oh my
seeing if
god.
they stick.
The whole like rebranding, have you seen that trend of like people rebranding like color names of like colored hair, like caramel cookies latte sundae as like it's like, okay, your hair is light brown, you know? Just like rebranding these names to make it sound cooler. So co-creation for meetings. My
Ooh.
god.
Instead of like daily stand-ups, it would be like calm sit down.
I'll try
Grounding.
that on my development team. I'll let you know how they like that one.
Yeah. Stand-ups. It's gonna be team grounding. That's what I'm gonna call.
Good lord.
Okay, so enough giggles. We made some ins and outs, so we're gonna share those. Ellen, do you have a preference on how I mean, like, do we sandwich these or do we go all ins, all outs? Clearly,
I
we have
think
this
let's
plan.
do all ins and all outs. What do you
Okay,
say?
let's start with outs. These
Let's start
things
with outs.
these things have got to go. Okay, the first being imposter syndrome. It's something you all experience. You'll go through it whether you realize it or not.
Mhm.
But when we interviewed Lauren, she talked about her dad, and I'm just like, oh, yep, this is perfect. To quote, my dad always said, how conceited that you would think people are thinking about you. No one is thinking about you. You need to do what you want to do. And that's the cold, hard truth. And I think the perfect example is like going to the gym. You go to the gym and you're just like so aware of everybody else. But if you were to jump into somebody else's brain, everybody is just thinking about themselves. Nobody is looking at you. Nobody is thinking about you. Nobody is concerned what weight you're lifting, what weight you're not lifting. Like, genuinely, nobody gives a single crap. So, why do we not take that same like idea and put it in the workplace?
100%. Well, it's like the moment that you have that like breaking the fourth wall of I am only thinking about myself, therefore I'm pretty sure no one else other people are doing the same. It's
Hmm.
so freeing to be like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I need to care a little less perhaps and be
Hmm.
a little bit more comfortable and more confident in myself." Like I'm sure there are times both of us have felt some sort of imposter syndrome in their careers. I mean, I joke all the time that I have taken out, I don't know if you know this, I have taken algebra 4 times in my life.
Didn't know that.
Oh, I'm so bad at math. It's not even funny. I took it once in high school, failed, had to take it again. Took it once in college, failed, had to take it again. So 4 times. And I have landed myself now in the second, like I literally work in finance now. I'm
See?
working for my second financial institution. I can't even say that institution. And it's not fake it till you make it, but like, I have certainly felt the imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to, again, not being mathematically gifted in the financial sector. But like, if I can do it, you can do it. And the imposter syndrome piece, I think, not only comes for me in like the industry, but also I'm like, I have oftentimes been the youngest person in the room,
Mhm.
which is just a physical representation of imposter syndrome, like looking around the room being like, "Ooh, I am the least experienced person in
Odd
this
man
room."
out. Mhm.
Right, but also at the same time, like your voice deserves to be heard. You're in that room for a reason. You're in that job
Mhm.
for a reason. So take advantage of that. People can learn from you. You can learn from others. So take it as a challenge and not necessarily a negative?
Yeah. Yeah. To think that you would want to stifle yourself because of fear or, this like unwillingness to put yourself out there.
Mhm.
If you fail, half the time you're the only person that knows. So like
Right.
you be the judge of yourself. And I think about like the opportunity cost of not doing something because you have this imposter syndrome. Like
Totally.
do it and fail, learn from it and grow. Like Michael's been saying a lot, it's either a good time or a good story. And so I love that. Like
Mhm.
do it. And if it doesn't work out, so be it. You'll become a better person. And like, I think that we probably felt that way when we started the podcast. It's like, who
Oh,
wants to
yeah.
hear from us? Like, what genuinely, like, what kind of credentials do we have when it comes to speaking about careers? But we've been doing it. And I don't care if one person listened or 100,000 people listened. Like,
Mhm.
it has been such an enjoyable experience and journey. And so to think that we would have allowed ourselves to get in the way of that is just
Mhm.
this. So,
It
next time you
is.
experience any moment of doubt or like worry that whatever you're doing is not right and that you shouldn't be there, you're exactly where you're meant to be, and you just have to roll through it. So
Mhm.
imposter syndrome out the
I
door.
also like the quote too, like, wouldn't you rather be seen trying
Mm-hmm.
than being seen being complacent and never changing or growing?
Mm-hmm.
And that personally has resonated with me a lot. So keep that in mind.
Yes,
Some inspirational stuff happening here
I
on
love this.
January 1. Look at us.
This is fun.
You get to lead us into the next one because
Okay.
I very much appreciate that you put this one down.
Yeah, so this isn't out. Think of it as a theme. I have been talking about it a lot. Not taking a lunch. I never thought I would be that person. I'd be in meetings and somebody'd be like, "Oh, I forgot to take a lunch today. There was so much to do." And I would be like, "How did you forget to take a lunch? Like, you need to eat."
Mhm.
But I think this is speaking to workplace boundaries is really what it comes down to. And so some examples are like not answering emails on their weekend, or maybe like outside of working hours. Something that you can do instead is scheduling emails so you're not being the one that's bothering people outside of working hours. Taking your PTO, using full advantage of any benefits that you have, being in a relationship of any kind, like personal, professional, like there have to be boundaries in place in order for you to protect. And sometimes you don't realize that they're there until the line's been crossed. But nobody's asking you to not take a lunch. Nobody's asking you that or telling you that you can't take your PTO. And that's the frustrating part, is that it's most often self-imposed. And so this is something that the boundary exists because you put it there. And so not taking lunch is not happening this year.
And I love like the tactical examples of how to do this, right? Like turn off the Teams notifications on your phone. If
Mhm.
you must have Teams on your phone, go in and check it when you need to, or scheduling messages to go out at specific times instead of maybe you work best at 2 in the morning. Good for you. I do not. Please do not be emailing me at 2 in the morning. Schedule your email. Like it's little like those small changes will help set the boundary not only with you, but also set the tone and
Mhm.
example with people that you work with. So I find like, I'm sure if you get an email or a text at a specific time outside of like normal working hours, you feel that pressure to respond, particularly if it's your boss or
Mhm.
someone that is in a higher position than you. They're doing it, I have to do it. And like that is so absolutely not the case. But having those specific examples of like just maybe you have a timer, I don't know what it is, but just set the example and follow through with it. Set the boundary.
Yeah. And I think something to note, and this is something maybe I'm speaking to myself, is that most cases when you start a job, people are like, set the boundaries pretty early so people don't have this
Yeah.
expectation of what your workplace setting is like. And I think that that's not oh, I mean, yes, it's true, but I think
Mhm.
that those things can change. Just because it's the way that you've been operating doesn't mean that that's how you have to continue to operate. Again, that's totally up to you. And I think the reason that this is out is because by not enforcing this, it's ultimately going to lead to burnout. And a depleted
Yeah.
employee or a depleted person is not going to be the best employee or the best person. And so it's like in order for you to be able to show up to work each day and feel fully engaged, you have to be able to understand like these are the rules that I've put in place. And please don't take this one too far because I think it's really easy for people to be like, well, that's a boundary. It's like there are still certain things that you have to do that
Yeah.
it's like that's expected of you. You are an employee of a company that's paying you, but there are things that you can work on, and maybe this is an opportunity to like reset and recalibrate a little
Mhm.
bit into 2025.
Exactly. And like probably goes into some other themes we'll talk about as well with just like it's up to you to be able to implement and set those boundaries, but then also like do your job. Let's
Mhm.
I love that suggestion. Like you're being paid to do some things so make sure that you do
Sounds easy,
it.
right?
Our
Okay.
last out, workplace competition. I really like this one because in the era of social media, in the era of just new jobs, or I guess any really environment that you're in, one, comparison is the thief of joy, but two, I always find myself comparing where I'm at in life or in my career or what my social media page looks like compared to others. And it's just not healthy.
Mm.
It just is not helpful. And I found myself doing that a lot, especially when I was like in my 20s. I just all I was focused on was okay, what does my life look like in comparison to others? They're further in their career. They have a higher title than I do. Maybe they make more money than I do. They have more experience, whatever it is. And I think the theme we were thinking of anchoring on here was don't let it be a detriment to you, let it be a challenge. And also, there's so many reasons as to why someone can be in a different phase of life than you. And don't let that be, I don't know, like, don't let that be. What am I trying to say? Like, don't let that be like a detriment to you or like a
Yeah.
negative thought. There's so many reasons. Like, I don't know. Like, when I
Every
joined in the corporate world, I was like, oh my God, I am so behind. I was, if anything, at the time, I think it would have been someone had 3 years more experience than me, 4 years more experience,
so
but, like, at the
minimal.
end of the day,
Mhm.
that's, like that will
So
be
minimal.
nothing,
Yeah.
and so, I don't know, it's a really healthy mindset to keep, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think and that's like self-imposed competition. Also too, if you're
Mhm,
in person, seeing your coworkers as teammates is such a different mind shift, especially when maybe you don't get along outside of work, but like your ultimate goal is to produce, right? Anybody in any role, their job is to produce. And in order to produce, like you're not in a silo in most cases. And
mhm,
so I think it's really important, especially as women, to lift each other up and, like reach down, reach up. Like it's not this like super linear path, and I think that this competitive nature sometimes gets in the way of both like other people beside you advancing and then you advancing. Like when everybody wins or when you win, everybody wins. When everybody wins, you win. That's it. When everybody wins, you win. And to some
yeah,
degree, like there's no reason that you shouldn't celebrate your neighbor and there's no reason that your neighbor shouldn't celebrate you. So,
mhm,
I think that that's a good one, and maybe that goes back to the boundaries thing. Like if that's not your workplace environment and it's something that you really want and you think that you have the opportunity to create that boundary, then like do so. Otherwise, maybe it's not the right setting for you. But I think that that's really important in nowadays when like you basically have the inside scoop on what seems to be everybody's life. I think it's really important to not see that as competition. But
Mhm. I like the reach down and reach up thing. I think that's important. And like we talk about mentorship a lot and not viewing others as competition, but again, like a support to go up or down,
mhm,
reach down to help and reach up to lift. I really like that.
I think that's amazing. Okay, so those are all the outs. Maybe we jump into the ins. This is the fun one. These came easy. So Ellen,
Yeah.
I'll have you start.
Okay. Thank you again, Bree. Like, I think our word of 2025 is going to be about portfolio careers. I
Truly.
just, again, being able to put like a phrase and a term to like just kind of this objective thought is just so cool to now
Mhm.
be able to just have it be a word instead of this like awkward paragraph of explanations. And
Mhm.
like I said earlier, like word soup. So, portfolio careers. And this is something that both Sarah and I feel very passionate about. And it's this idea of one, an identity outside of work, and two, like so many people are finding more success now with having something outside of their job, like outside of their 9 to 5, I'll say, like whether that's a side hustle or like a passion project or like a business outside of work, but it's also more than that, right? Like it's Sarah, you put down volunteering and I think that's a big oh my god, I said Sarah and my Siri popped up. Oops, there we go.
She does that a lot.
She does that. She's pretty nosy. But you put volunteering down and I think that is such like I'm kind of mad at myself I didn't think of that cuz I'm like what a lovely way to spend your time that is serving others
Mhm.
and making a positive impact. Like, what a wonderful way to, like, again, just like expand beyond yourself,
Yeah.
be a part of your community, and like make a positive impact. And not to say like building your own business is bad, but like, what a wonderful way to spend your time.
Yeah. Well, and
You
I think
know?
you're kind of getting at the idea that your time is valuable. And in most cases, I feel like with the whole like 2020 to 2022 boom where everybody was home, they were
Mhm.
turning hobbies or passion projects into businesses. And then it loses its sparkle because it's just becomes work. It doesn't become
Mhm.
pleasure. And I like the idea of volunteering because there's so many skills that you learn. And it's essentially like allowing you to enter into some workplace or some environment where you're growing, you're learning, you're doing a job in
Mhm.
some sense. You're just not getting paid for it. And I think because it's not as transactional as like showing up to working for 8 hours and then going home and getting a paycheck, I think it allows you to have a bit more passion involved, especially because with volunteering in most cases is with organizations that you care about, serving people or groups, animals, anything that like need time and attention. Um, some other opportunities that we talked about with like portfolio careers are within your workplace. So you can start small. You could take on a different project, put on some like, as you could say, like different hats at work. Maybe you lead something or I don't know, coordinate an event. And then some other examples because they, money makes the world go round, are side hustles or as we talked about in our one episode, part-time jobs. Those are always a really fun way to gain some sort of skills, get some intel from other people, be exposed to other environments. Like portfolio careers don't have to necessarily be like some sort of big financial game. Think of it as just ways to level up. And I think that when it comes to interviews or your resume, like these are the soft skills I would say that like really come into play.
Totally. It's like that it quality, right? And
Mhm.
we talk a lot about like if we were to look at a resume same experience on paper, but you see that more portfolio career on one candidate, for example, and you see that they have volunteering experience. They did a summer abroad. I mean, and they just are more well-rounded and have that like diversified portfolio.
Mhm.
So, I mean, soft skills are difficult to teach in my humble opinion. And
Totally.
if you can gain experience in different ways, while it may not seem like it is all linear and for a larger purpose, I can guarantee you it will get you more opportunities. Like if you
Mhm.
are thinking about, if you're in college and thinking about how do I get a job or an internship or anything like that, I really think having some sort of differentiator or that like a quality of that portfolio career with something different and unique, it'll get you further. I guarantee it.
Mhm. I think plus 2, maybe this is me personally, is it's just more fun
Yeah.
to have a portfolio career because I remember, first job out, I was like, "Oh my god, I cannot do this for 40 years. How am I supposed to sit in front of a computer and click clack away? Like there's no way." I'm looking around and being like, "Oh nope, this is my only option." And so for me to have this idea of portfolio careers, especially being, in my like late 20s and kind of like trying to understand what it is that I like, I don't want to like bury myself into one hole. I want to be somebody that knows how to do a lot of things well. And I think that portfolio careers, they're new. I mean, you talk to your parents and it's like a portfolio career. Like portfolios typically are equated to like what's in your investment accounts, but like
Right.
you do it there, so why not do it with your career? And I
Mhm.
think that for a lot of people, it scratches that itch, at least it did for me, of not being so hyper focused on one specific job, rather just exposure to a lot of other different jobs. So to me it's more fun, it's more exciting, there's a lot of more I don't know, like I like conversing about it and there's more conversations, more learnings to come from it. So portfolio careers, number 1 in.
Mhm.
Second in, take or make the call. This is at large talking about taking advantage of any sort of opportunity, whether it's you taking advantage of an opportunity that's presented to you or you creating an opportunity for yourself. I think that learning in your 20s that like nobody's coming to save you, things don't happen unless you put energy towards making them happen. And that's sometimes scary because it's,
Mhm.
for 22 years of your life, if you go to, a 4-year college, your life is pretty well laid out for you. You go to school, you go to work, you come home, you eat, and then you get into your career and it's like, oh, things will stay status quo unless I put the energy to change it. And so some examples of that, we talk a lot about like reaching out to people, going on, coffee dates, maybe an opportunity like somebody, we have a few people that are recruiters, like somebody reaching out to you and just trying to present something. Take the phone screening. Like what's the worst that could happen? So I think that the take or make the call is funny because it requires a lot of action on your behalf.
Mhm.
But if you don't like it, you can always come back. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Truly.
Exactly. I mean, like, how many guests have we had that we have never we didn't know before the podcast that's reached out to us and said, like, hey, I really like what you guys are doing. I'd like to be a guest. Like, I'm pitching myself.
That's fun.
I mean, I would go as far to say, like, at this point, it's at least a third of our
Yeah.
guests that have
Yeah.
been cold reach outs to us, which is incredible. Like, just in that way, one, obviously it benefits them, but then two, like, we get to meet so many more incredible people through that avenue. Just, and again, that's just one specific example of taking the call, advocating for yourself. But even two, you mentioned like, take if a recruiter reaches out to you, like taking the screening call. Interviewing is a skill and it is something you have to practice as
Mhm.
much as you want to sit in front of your mirror and practice it with yourself. Fabulous, but talking to another person is another ball game. And if the best time to look for a job is when you already have one,
Yep.
and just a 30-minute interview to know and understand where the market is at, just even get a pulse check of is this even something that I'm remotely interested in? And also keeping your interview skills sharp. That's something
Mhm.
I learned throughout my career is, you have to be proactive in that way, which kind of leads us to our next point. But, not taking a call, a screening call, really is to your detriment to not have those kind of conversations and practice and keep your skills sharp. It's
Totally agree.
specifically with interviewing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay, last one. And
Last one.
this is a doozy because it's really, really important and it comes in all shapes and sizes.
Mhm.
What is it, Ellen?
Ooh, oh, I get to leave this in, so exciting. Our last one, which honestly, I think portfolio careers is my favorite. This one has to be my second,
Yeah,
is
agreed.
self-advocacy. This is something that you absolutely have to learn when it comes to your career. And Sarah, you said it earlier, no one is coming to save you. The only way, not the only, but I would say 98% of the time, the only way you are going to get your way into a new project, get a promotion, get a raise, get more benefits is if you ask for them and advocate for yourself. And learning that is difficult, but once you do learn and understand it, it's such a valuable skill to have because again, it just you don't know what the answer is going to be. You won't know unless you ask.
Mhm.
And I heard this really interesting, actually, I think it was a podcast interview a little while ago. And this man who was like a serial entrepreneur was talking about his success. And he made the comment something along the lines of if you knew that you had 32 no's in between you and like your $1 million business, how excited would you be to get your first
Mhm.
no? How quickly would you want to go get your second no and your third? And how, like, what actions would you be taking in order to get through those slew of no's to get you to your yes? And I just really loved that like visualization almost
Right.
because it's so uncomfortable negotiating for more money in a salary or for more benefits. I find those conversations
Yeah.
so awkward and uncomfortable. I've always found them that way, regardless of how well you know the recruiter have had a oh my God, I can't talk, have had a previous relationship where
Right.
this is effectively a stranger. It is so uncomfortable. You don't want to come in and be super, aggressive, but you also want to advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
And you don't know unless you ask. And what's the worst they're going to say? No. Okay. Like that's what negotiation's all about. So I really like this one because there's so many different examples. I think I kind of anchored on the salary one specifically. But like, I mean, another example in a previous job, I negotiated and advocated for maternity leave for the entire company, not just for
Mhm.
myself. I didn't even use it, but I mean, I I was terrified to ask and advocating for myself and other women at the company was something I'm really proud of myself that I did.
Yeah.
And you just have to get over that awkwardness. That's the hardest part.
It is. And self-advocacy, it's not a selfish move by any means. Again, this is somewhat of like the boundary again, right? Like you are the only person that's responsible for how your life is going to turn out, personal or professional. And so for you to sit back and consider it, it was her name's Allie and she's the owner of granola butter. I forget what the name of it is. And she said, life's not a dress rehearsal. Like, this is it, you
Mhm,
know? And so if there's something that you want, you're the only person that knows that. You're the only person that can ask for it.
mhm.
And so self advocacy as uncomfortable. And I think sometimes, especially like to pull the gender card, most times women are told to be easy, be quiet, be nice. When did that get anybody anywhere? It just, that's the reality. Like, you're told that because it's easier for you to be the quiet one in the corner.
Mhm,
People don't like people that talk about themselves. People don't like the, kind of pushy people, but like they get somewhere. So take a note and do it yourself. And this is something that as I would call myself a good girl. This is something that doesn't come easy or naturally to me, and you don't have to wait for those specific moments. You don't have to wait to negotiate your salary when your boss brings it up. You can bring it up.
Mhm.
You don't have to wait for a mental health day until you're like just about to crack. You can do it before then. And so self advocacy, you can try it in any, way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be this massive, massive endeavor. It can be something really small, like maybe you take an hour in the morning before work to go on a walk. Self advocacy, take a longer lunch if you need it. That's fine. Like things like that. Start little, see how comfortable it is, and then you can start to, grow up to these bigger ones. But this has been fun because as Ellen and I were working through these ins and outs, we were thinking about things that either we've learned from guests on the podcast or things that we're trying to try on ourselves.
Mhm.
And it's not just something that you do for like the month of January. So the hope is that we'll be able to come back to this much like we did our goals and just be able to have those little check-ins, because I think it's so important that you don't just like start the year off with all these like massive, massive ideas and then you
I
just
know.
like are like wah, wah, you fall flat.
Yeah.
We're always changing. There's things that we'll learn, and it's just been really fun because we also reviewed our 2024 ins and outs, and I think that Ellen, you can agree. There's things where it's like, oh yeah, that's still an out. Did I
Mhm.
did I do it? No, not necessarily, but we'll continue to work on it. Nothing will ever really be check mark complete, but
Right.
um this is I like this. These are fun. And plus too, it's fun to like see other people's ins and outs. So maybe if
Mhm.
when this is posted to social or anything, like I'd love to hear what other people are trying on or leaving behind.
I know it's always this like I feel this challenge like when you
Mhm.
whether it's goal setting or in this specific instance of like the ins and outs, like what did I miss? Like what could I
Mhm.
add? What are the cool ideas that we didn't think of that someone else
What's
has
the
of like,
far
oh,
one one? Yeah.
right. I should have added that. Dang it.
I'm
But
totally there with you.
it's fun to hear and just see like other ideas around this specifically. And well, we have like the professional like career lens on it. There's so many ways you can implement ins and outs into your personal life too. I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
boundaries is a huge one, but it's I'm so excited for 2025. Like one, the ins and outs. I think like you can also take, I guess it's not necessarily new, but it feels like a new like refresh for you
Mhm.
with your contract extension and then my new job. Like it really does feel like a nice, fresh, clean slate to
Mhm.
make your changes if and where necessary or try something new or keep on keeping on with something that's working well for you. So I'm really looking forward to 2025. I need to go make my vision board. You'd be
Yeah,
very
same,
proud of me.
same.
I
I
have
know that's half the reason we didn't talk about it today is because well, December was busy and we didn't have time to print pictures
I
and
was
slap
gonna
them
say.
on a piece of cardboard to make our vision boards, but it is important. So maybe we'll do like a little mid-January check-in and we can come back
Yeah.
to that. We can circle back to it. But
Yes.
this has been really fun, especially because we're recording this on literally January 1st.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to set the framework and kind of set the tone. And so hopefully we're able to do
Yeah.
that. And as you're listening, maybe there's things that you take for yourself or not. Who knows? We're just here to be kind of your friends and sisters in the journey. Ellen, before we wrap it up, any parting thoughts?
Parting thoughts. We missed you guys in December. It
Yes.
feels like just scratching an old itch being back on here and recording. So I'm excited to like jumpstart things again
Same.
and be busy and meet new women and, get some more recordings done. So I hope that they all resonate with the audience. And again, like Sarah said, please send some referrals our way. We love meeting new people. We have so many fun things like I'll say professional, like just a job professional things planned too. So we're looking forward to being able to do some new and different things this year. And of course, we'll bring everyone along with, all the fun changes that we're doing. And I'm really proud of
Mm-hmm.
us. So,
As always.
um, thank you everyone for the listen. Thank you for the like ride with us through, oh my God, it's been a year now. And this is getting long winded. So thanks for the love. I feel like I'm accepting an Oscar speech or something.
And then like there's the bell in the background
I
that's
know
like, okay,
the
your
music
time is
is
done.
starting to go on. Like, shut up. It's like our background music you can insert here. Oh my God. Per usual, me talking too much. Okay, Sarah, close this out. Thank you.
Let's see. I forgot how much my jaw hurts after we record because I'm smiling
Seriously.
so much and
Yeah.
just talking. So gonna have to go get a little jaw massage after this. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. We are so excited to start the year off, and we couldn't do this without you. We appreciate you so much. And next time Ellen will have her mic flag. Well, maybe. Depends on UPS. Who knows? They're probably very tired. It has been a wild, wild, chaotic 4 weeks for them. But anyways, enjoy your Monday and remember it's literally just a job. We'll see ya.